This meeting is now in order. We appreciate everyone to be here tonight for our Layton City Council meeting for December 16th. And we appreciate those in the audience that are here. As we do regularly, we do like to start out our meeting with a prayer and a pledge. And tonight I have asked for some assistance there since December's my month. And I thought it would only be appropriate since we do have the last meeting for a couple of our council members that perhaps we have Dawn's husband, Roger, would you mind giving the prayer? And then knowing that, you know, Tom served over the planning commissioner, we asked George Wilson to come up and lead us in the pledge. So we'll start out with our prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this snowy evening and for the moisture that we've been receiving. We're thankful for the opportunity of gathering in this free country and this kind of meeting where everyone has a say and everyone has the agency to express their opinion. We're grateful for the service of the mayor, the city council, and for the staff of Layton City. Grateful for all that they've done for this city and continue to do their diligent effort. We pray this night that everyone's mind will be open to those things that are discussed and that decisions will be made appropriately based on the law and ordinances and a good conscience. And these things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. You can speak in the mic.
Ready? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both for participating in that. And I know Tom's family's here, which I acknowledge, as well as Dawn's, which I think is great. And this is going to be an interesting evening tonight. So, council, we need to move on. Do any of you have any municipal announcements you'd like to share?
Do you want to do minutes first?
Oh, yes. Good correction. See, that's why I'm going to miss her. Okay, we do have one set of minutes that we need to approve from November 18th of 2021. So, council, do you have any corrections to that? If not, I'll look for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of Layton City Council work meeting of November 18th, 2021 as written.
Okay, there's a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Zach. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the meetings as written. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we can move on to municipal announcements. Does anyone have any municipal announcements they'd like to share with our folks online as well as those here tonight? Okay. I guess seeing that there's no municipal announcements tonight, the only thing I will state is that obviously our Layton Lights, our park is still up and running and it's been well received. We've had a lot of visitors this year, and I know going into this last week before Christmas, we anticipate even more. So please be patient in anyone that are staging to drive through so that we don't have any issues there. But certainly I'd highly encourage people to get out of their cars and walk through the park as well, because it's quite fun and enjoyable. We have the Elf on the Shelf game that goes on. And if you find Little Elf, you go over to the Cocoa Shack, or we have a parks person out there that will give you a nice treat. And I know the Rotary Club is still selling hot chocolate tomorrow night, Saturday, and Monday. And then that will be the end of their selling of the hot chocolate. So
In the end.
in other words, they're not going to be out there on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but they could go next week.
I meant the hot chocolate. The Rotary will, Monday night is the last night they'll be selling hot chocolate. Okay.
They had the hayride,
They did.
which was nice. It was packed. I mean, we were making people lay down and people step on them so we could get them all on. But no, it was well done. And the parks guys that did it were just very efficient, it was neat. It was just fun to be part of it. And so, you missed it, but it was a great thing.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have anything? Okay. Seeing that there's none, we'll go ahead and move on. We do not have any verbal petitions or presentations tonight. So I'll now open it up for any citizens' comment. So anyone who wishes to address the body here, please step up to the mic, state your name and address for the record, and then we'll listen to what you have to say.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always good to be first. Appreciate the opportunity. My name is Scott Fletcher. I live at 2729 North, 2125 East at Layton, Utah. That's the bottom of the street of the Case Creek Parkway. So that's what I'll address today. I appreciate the opportunity to sit into the earlier meeting and to hear what was being said. A couple of items that I'd like to bring to bear. First off is appreciate the legal reading that was given in terms of the First Amendment rights as opposed to what's there. That was good. And I appreciate also that the options were brought forward in terms of compelling government interest was one of the options available, and I think we should pursue that. I mean, if you go back to the original in the May 2016 Layton City Parks, Recreation Trails, Open Space and Cultural Facilities Master Plan, it clearly states in one of the goals of the desire to have fundamentally a environmental preserve in that area. That's one. And it also has back in 2014, there was a review done by, I believe it's a professor from Utah State that did an assessment of the public sentiment, and there was 94% of the people wanted to have an open space area. So there's definitely a desire and a need for that open space. And as such, we would strongly recommend that the council take very quick action in terms of making recommendations in terms of that compelling government interest in terms of the environmental impact and also from a safety standpoint. Those were the two major ones that were there in terms of how to get there, how to resolve the issue. Another one was brought up was just restricting all commercial activities to all parks. We believe that's a solution as well and should be explored quickly as we move forward. So those are two options that we believe should go forward. I would like to propose maybe something in addition to that. At the Farmington Creek Trail, if you've walked down there, just east of Lagoon, if you walk around that trail, there are signs on every street that goes up and down that tree. So there's a precedent already set in a neighboring city of Farmington. And essentially what it says is that only residents and their guests are permitted to park on those streets, and that fines and or towing will occur if it's not obeyed. So there's a precedent already set for putting that in place. So that addresses a very significant issue of safety up and down that street. So last time we talked about, in fact, last time there was pictures shown of up and down that street and how dangerous that street can become. You know, Mayor, you and I talked about it afterwards. There could be as many as 100 cars with large groups walking up and down that street. Somebody's going to get hit, somebody's going to get killed, or somebody's little kid's going to get hurt. So there's a safety issue involved in that. I believe that's a solution, one of several solutions that can be moved forward in a very quick fashion. So the environmental and the safety, and I believe now we have the legal backing from that compelling government interest, as well as a safety approach going forward, as well as the idea of no commercial in any of the parks, which we would advocate for all of those. What I would like to close with is someplace that I'm very frustrated with. So we've been working this issue for a long time. We've been made a lot of promises in the area. Next month, we'll have a sign. Next month, it'll be taken care of. Next month, we'll get an action. And no action has happened. Nothing has happened. And I think you should be frustrated as members of this council of the lack of inactivity. I work in the commercial world. If the same amount of activity happened for my job, I'd be fired. I'm incredibly disappointed in this council for acting so slowly. Now, I understand there's legal issues, and I understand that there's time issues. But regardless, those actions should be taken much quicker than what they currently have. So I appreciate what you've done, and I appreciate the legal representation that you brought today. But I think there's some action that needs to be taken on a very quick basis as we move forward. So thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Tawny Williams, and I live at 2718 North, 2125 East. I'm just right across the street from Fletcher, who spoke. And I don't know how this works, so if I can't, I didn't know if there was any way I could show 2 more pictures. Am I allowed to do that here? Can I show anyone these? The only reason that I want to show them 2 pictures, these are taken 2 months apart. And I live right by the trail. And we see the amount of damage that's being caused by the commercial photographers, and having a front row seat, it's the photographers. I promise it is. The general traffic that was in there, I've been by that trail for 10 years, and it wasn't until COVID and everyone was getting family pictures that the traffic got so bad. And we have, between our little group, we have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of group after group after group that's just getting trampled. And you probably can't see it. Can I walk around, or am I allowed to go into the circle?
I'd advise you to submit those. Yeah, we'll have you email them in, and then
May
they
I?
can be shared.
Perfect.
But go ahead.
Who do I
you
send
can
those
go ahead
to?
and describe them if you
Okay,
like.
so this one picture, it just shows some of the flattened area, and there's a tree marker that you can see, and you can see how trampled the meadow is becoming. Now, here's the problem is I don't think the photographers, bless their hearts, when they come in, they don't see what it was like before. And so when we see it getting bigger and bigger, and then the next picture I have, and they were literally 2 months apart from where it is on the tree, it's probably 5 times the size that's completely trampled. And some of the public parks, they can handle that type of traffic. The grass is fine. It's meant to be walked on, but the meadows just are not meant to handle that kind of traffic. And so this is another thing. I know it probably can't be answered at this meeting, but I would love to know who I could contact. I would love to just personally offer my own service. There's been plenty of service projects on the trail, and I would love to be able to stake out some of those areas just with flags that say, please don't cross these lines, to permit for some of the regrowth. Some of it has already turned to mud, complete mud, and now it's buried in the snow. But we even had some photographers down there today. It used to just be short seasons, and it's not anymore. And some of them are getting more bold. They've been driving their vehicles, and I know that that's completely illegal. Those signs are clearly posted to drive their couches down there for photography sessions. There's been one in particular that is a Grinch that will come. He's been there every week for 5-6 weeks, 5 weeks. Yeah. And will drive their truck on to the meadows to drop off a couch to have these sessions. And so we were kind of frustrated just watching it slowly die, because we know other people that aren't as familiar aren't seeing how bad it's getting, and the trails that are right to the same spots that they go to. And it's just around that parking lot, because there's a parking lot right there. They just hop out. It looks like they're in the middle of the mountain, which is why we love the park. And it's your own fault for making such a beautiful park. We love it so much. And they do such a good job of maintaining it. Dave does stuff to keep the thistle out. It's plowed, so we can even walk there in the winter. It's amazing. But I promise it will not last another season. I do not know. We already are going to have to put tax dollars in to get the growth back at this point. It just has to be done. So is there someone that I could contact to get permission for a service project, if that's permitted, to flag off some of those areas?
Yes, you can contact Mr. Dave Price. He's our Parks and Recreation
Yes,
Director.
and we've had extensive conversations about that. Is there someone above him that I can talk to about that?
You've
Or
already
is
given
he-
us your name.
Okay,
You don't have to say it publicly, but I'll have you give you your number to our secretary over here, and she'll take
Thank
that, and somebody will reach out to you.
okay. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing that there's no more citizens' comment, I'd like to go ahead and move on to item number 5, which is our consent items. And our consent items, we can actually act upon them in one single motion as far as acceptance or denial on them. But for the time being, I will go ahead and proceed in the order that is presented on the agenda. So we'll start out with item number A. And Mr. Probert's going to give us a review of our annual report for the fiscal year of June 30th, 2021.
Mayor, members of the council, pleasure to be with you here tonight. I'm here with Mr. Robert Wood from HBME, your independent auditors that you hire as a city council to review the finances of the city, as well as internal control and compliance. And so we now have put together our comprehensive annual financial report that'll be available on the website following this meeting, assuming that you accept the report as presented. The city finds itself in excellent financial condition. We have adequate reserves in all of our funds, general fund, water, sewer, storm, refuse, and many others. So again, in excellent financial condition. From what was anticipated at the beginning of the whole COVID pandemic to where we ended up today, we're in a really good position. Some of that has been a part of significant sales tax growth, and that's a good thing, but also reflective of what probably everybody here in the room could see as inflation. And so, not to get too excited about sales tax growth, because we know that costs have increased in personnel and the projects we want to accomplish and the equipment we have to buy and the supplies that we have. And so still we need to, we keep things very tight, and you approve a very tight budget and very responsible with all of those funds. I'll turn some time over to your auditor so that he can discuss the reports that have been issued.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here with you this evening. Appreciate what you all do in the city management for how they manage the affairs of the city. As Mr. Probert has mentioned, you've got healthy, strong fund balances going along all of your funds. There's a lot of projects, a lot of money, and so forth out there. This took a lot of time to put together and make sure it's done right. But that's one of the things that you as a city receive is excellence in your financial reporting each and every year. One of the items that we do is we have an independent auditor's report that's found on pages 7 through 11 of the annual comprehensive financial report that Tracy just mentioned. We have given you the best opinion as an audit firm can give your organization. It's an unmodified opinion. We don't feel there's any material misstatements in not only your entity-wide statements, but each of your governmental funds and some of your supplemental schedules. In addition to the independent auditor's report, we issue 2 other reports at the back of the book. One is on your internal control over financial reporting and also your compliance with state laws. The second report is required by state law because it's put together by the state auditor's office in the state compliance audit guide. And there's various things that we need to do from a compliance standpoint, or I guess you as a city need to do from a compliance standpoint, such as budgeting, your fund balance percentage in your general fund, governmental fees, how you handle restricted taxes, public treasurer's bonds, just a whole slew of items that we look at, some on a annual basis and some we do on a 3-year basis. Really, our report tonight is you have no internal control deficiencies. We didn't notice any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that needed to be reported. We did note 2 compliance requirements. The first one is your fund balance in the general fund. Now that is made up, but what they look at in your fund balance is they look at what you have as unassigned, assigned, and committed. You don't have any committed balance, but you do have some assigned fund balance and unassigned fund balance. That is compared to your general fund's operating revenues. Now, when we compare those, state code says that you could be between 5 and 35%. Currently, you're at 45.4%. So from our perspective, this is one we say this is a nice finding to have because it means you have some excess reserves. And as we heard earlier in the presentation, there's a lot of projects that the city can go ahead that will benefit not only the community, but the residents of the Layton city. So you probably actually have some projects that you can fund through your general fund. The second finding that we have is you have a component unit in your financial statements called the Davis Metro Narcotics Task Force. It's a component unit that's conglomerate of not only the Davis County Sheriff's Office, but other police departments that form this task force. You as a city are the ones that manage the affairs and operations of that department or workforce. They had an overage on their budget where they overspent by $7,538. Not material, but it really came about because they received a grant that increased costs for overtime covering salary officers. So it's not like the fund went over. They had a revenue source to cover it. Just not enough expenditures got picked up in any budget amendment. So those are the 2 findings that you have. Otherwise, we really feel that the city is in good hands. Any questions we can take?
Council, do you have any questions? How about some comments?
Just one question, Rob. You mentioned assigned, unassigned, and committed. What would be committed? What is that?
Committed is something you as a city council would do. So if you want to commit certain funds for a project, you could commit it for a project. It's almost like restricted, but it's not coming from an external source. It's coming from you as a council. You have to either do that through resolution or ordinance. And then in order to get rid of the committed fund balance, you have to do the same thing through a resolution or ordinance to allow the funds to be used.
Anyone else? Those are great findings. I mean, on behalf of the city and all the folks that have gone into maintaining this budget, I want to commend you all and commend you on your audit. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that in addition to the council here, we have 2 citizens that also sit on this audit committee so that to make sure that everything's done appropriately. And I want to extend my appreciation not only to them, but everyone, we've got several folks in our city that sit on the various commissions. And again, that's an extension of the council and we rely on them. And I think this is only appropriate to thank them for their time and efforts and what they do to help the city run so efficiently like we have. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there aren't any further questions, then staff would just recommend that the council accept the annual financial report as presented.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to item number B, and Mr. Chad Wilkinson will be presenting that information to us regarding a block grant warrant deed for Have a Heart.
Yeah, good job. Thanks. Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. This is Resolution 21-55 to approve a warranty deed transferring 552 South Kimball Drive from the city to Have a Heart. The city has a long relationship with Have a Heart and the Davis School District. Both of those entities build homes that are then transferred to low to moderate income families that meet certain criteria. This is a step in that process that this law would be transferred to Have a Heart, which would then construct a home. This is the location of the property. If you remember, this was a remnant parcel from a development that came before you several months ago. And this was identified as an area that could potentially be a home for one of these low to moderate income families. Have a Heart does a great job of building these homes. It'll be a quality home that will then be sold to a low to moderate income family at a reduced rate, so that it can be affordable housing for that family. We are recommending that the council approve and authorize staff to execute this warranty deed, transferring this property to Have a Heart. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
So I have one. I spoke to Morgan that there was an error in the contract date. Do you know if that got changed?
I'm sure that it did if you spoke to him. I didn't know that.
It's just that the agreement ended. The date of the agreement was November 19th, but it said that the term of the agreement ran from November 19th through June 30th of 2021. So it just needs to be 2022.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I'm sure that was changed, but we'll note that for the record as well and make that change. So any other questions?
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Being that you're at the podium, you get to speak again on item number C.
Thank you. Yes, this is a plat amendment. This is a subdivision plat amendment, Oak Forest phases 3 and 7. The location of the property is shown there on the map with the red dot. That's about 2287 north, 2575 east, and 2535 east, 2250 north. We've got the properties there outlined in red. This involves the amendment of 2 plats. We're going to show you those plats just really quick here. This is Oak Forest Phase 7, or number 7, which includes lots 197 and 196 that will be part of this amendment. The next one is Oak Forest number 3, which includes the lots 68 and 69 from that phase. Sometimes we can do these types of adjustments through a property line adjustment process. However, this particular adjustment includes 2 subdivisions. We're crossing plat boundaries. We're changing those plat boundaries. And we're also changing some public easements. So we've gone through a subdivision amendment process. This is because there are 2 subdivisions involved. Again, there'll be 2 separate plats to be amended. This is the first of those. This is Oak Forest Phase 7 First Amendment. You can see the 2 lots that are created. The lots will be renumbered because of this transaction. You can see those numbers on the plat there. There'll be a 7 designation for that in Phase 7. And then the next one, this is Phase 3. So you can see the renumbering of those lots for Phase 3. I want to just show you a quick exhibit that shows kind of everything together here. So if you look at the colored portions of this is the lots as originally platted. You can see the original shapes of those lots there. And then that shown in the outline is what will occur as a result of this proposed amendment. So that just gives you a quick view of that. You can see that there's a lot of moving pieces here. Predominantly, for the purposes of this, there's a fence line that was established some years ago. This would adjust the property lines to match that fence line. It would also readjust some of those lots to take into account some improvements that have been made on these properties. All the resulting lots will be the minimum lot size for the zones. They'll still be big enough that they meet those minimum lot sizes and could be constructed on as lots. We'll just show a couple other things. This is just a quick, very rough, but approximate locations of those new lot lines. You can see the improvements on the lots related to those lot lines. Particularly, you can see the existing home. One thing that's a little bit unique about this particular application is that the applicant had requested that we expedite this. This is coming to you fairly quickly after Planning Commission. We had our Planning Commission meeting on Tuesday of this week, where they unanimously recommended approval of this subdivision amendment. We did send out some minutes to the council earlier this week, so you could review that. Not a lot of discussion occurred at that meeting. It was fairly straightforward, but the staff is recommending that the City Council approve the proposed subdivision amendment for Oak Forest Phases 3 and 7, and be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Any questions?
I have a couple, and this one's kind of for Gary. Because it's not a public hearing or a public review and a consent item, there was no noticing time frame from Tuesday night to tonight?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. There wouldn't be.
No required notice. That would, yep.
All right. And then did this issue come about as a survey for the lots to be potentially sold? I mean, why after all these years do they decide they want to do this? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we've got a representative of the family here that is the applicant for the project. I'll give you just my brief overview of what was told to me, but if they want to add anything, they certainly could. But part of it is that, again, there was a fence line established that is not exactly following those originally platted lot lines, and it was a desire to put everything right to match those existing property lines before any future sales of properties occurred. There's also there was a potential sale of the property. There's one property that's, and again, I don't have my mouse to show you, but that the smallest of the properties there that has the home on it on the northeast corner of this development is owned by a different party. So there's 3 of these lots are owned by one family, and then the one lot owned by another. Because of that potential sale, they wanted to get this cleaned up before any potential sale occurred, so that everyone understood where the property lines were, and that was established.
And both parties agree to this?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number D. Mr. Steve Jackson's going to present the agreement between Layton City and Holmes Creek Irrigation Company.
Mayor and Council, before you tonight is an agreement between Layton City and Holmes Creek Irrigation Company regarding the Holmes Creek Reservoir Outlet Pipe, Resolution 2156. The agreement authorizes Layton City to Layton City and Holmes Creek will enter into an agreement, if approved, in order to replace an aging outlet pipe on the Holmes Creek Reservoir. The pipe is in need of maintenance and other things. Holmes Creek Irrigation would like to upgrade their system, as well as Layton City's master plan includes this pipe in the master plan project. So in order to plan for the future, Layton City and Holmes Creek have had discussions regarding participation in this pipe replacement project. The city's current master plan seeks to have a 24-inch pipe installed, and that will serve the future of our master plan into the 2040 timeframe. So the agreement provides for the replacement of their current pipe with a new pipe, and the city will own and maintain that pipe into the future. Holmes Creek Irrigation will maintain the outlet control structure and the emergency relief valves for that project. So the city is participating by purchasing the pipe per the agreement, and then Holmes Creek will install and fuse the pipe, and then also grant an easement to Layton City to be able to maintain and operate that pipe into the future. So staff recommends that council adopt Resolution 2156, but I'd like to answer any questions if I could.
Go ahead.
The timeline again, if this is approved tonight?
If it's approved tonight, we'd like to actually order the pipe as soon as possible. There's about a month of lead time on the pipe right now, and then we would like to construct as early as we can to be ready for the April water season. So the anticipation is a pretty quick turnaround if this is approved.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
No. Must have did a good job in our work meeting. Okay, we have one more item left on our consent items, and Mr. Dave Price will present the agreement for a purchase of land between Layton City and Tyler Earl.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing Resolution 2157 to purchase real property at 1369 East Heather Drive. As you're aware, in 2001, 6 homes that were located on Heather Drive were damaged due to landslides. 3 of them had to be demolished. This property, located in the pink, is identified as the Tyler Earl's property. He desires to sell. The city is desirous to purchase this property, and we've reached an agreement on the price. We believe this is a good addition to the city because number one, it takes that lot off the marketplace, and it also provides the connectivity to the 16-acre East Ridge Nature Park. And so it will be an ideal location for a neighborhood access to that point. So staff recommends that the council adopt Resolution 2157, approving and the agreement for the purchase of land between the city and Tyler Earl and authorizing the mayor to sign the necessary documents. Any questions?
Any questions, council?
Ask one.
Okay.
You called it the East Ridge Nature Park. What's that?
I'm sorry?
Is it South Fork Nature Park?
It is on the South Fork. The name, the East Ridge was the development name, I believe. The name of the area has not been determined yet.
What's the plan for that? Well, the timeline or time frame in the master plan?
This spring, we should take ownership of that property as it's deeded over to the city.
But the park?
The park itself is currently already funded through impact fees, and we'll begin to develop that as soon as we are able to.
So if this is going to be a trailhead down, what's the grade down to get to?
Don's worried about the.
It's steep.
It's going to be kind of like the one up on Sunset that goes down to Case Creek off of Sunset Drive?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as steep as the Sunset one, and if we traverse to the west from this location, it's not as bad as if you just drop off the edge.
If you go up there, you'll get your steps in. So for the day, you'll be fine.
And again, we are working with the developer to provide a vehicle access and parking lot on the opposite side of this area. And so this is intended for the neighbors in this area.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I was pleased when you brought this before us because I know that it's. We've talked about it for many times, and it was in the original parks plan. And then I'm very thankful that Mr. Earl's willing to sell it to us now, so that we can continue with that and again take the lot off the market, because I probably get a call. I get several calls on this, so I'm sure Mr. Bench will be very happy to see whatever action we take tonight. So anyway, okay.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Okay, council, that concludes our consent items. So I will look for a motion regarding the consent items. And as I mentioned earlier, we can act on one single motion here. So would one of the two departing council members care to make this motion?
She's a pro.
They're going to miss me. Will you second it when I'm done then? Okay. So, Madam Mayor, on the consent agenda items, I make a motion that we approve the following. The comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending June 30th of this year. The community block grant warranty deed for Have a Heart, Resolution 2155 for a home at 552 South Kemble Drive. An amended subdivision plat in Oak Forest Phases 3 and 7. An agreement between Layton City and Holmes Creek Irrigation regarding the Holmes Creek Reservoir Outlet Pipe Resolution 2156. An agreement for the purchase of land between Layton City and Tyler Earl Resolution 2157 at 1369 East Heather Drive.
Very good.
I'll second.
Great. It's been moved in second that we accept the consent items as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. They all pass unanimously. Okay, I'm looking at our agenda here, and we do not have any public hearings. However, I believe we do have some unfinished business that we need to take care of. So, as I mentioned earlier, and from this time forward, I mean, it's we've had two great council members here that's served your city well. Sorry, I wasn't going to do this. So I just personally want to say thank you. I'm not going to carry on a lot, but, in the past, we really haven't done much. Well, I shouldn't say that. I apologize. We have done things for the council, but we really haven't shared some of the, the camaraderie that has taken place. And that was really the meaning of the video, was so that folks can see how this council really gets along, and also the council in the past. But we have 2 council members here that, like I said, have served our city so well. We have Councilmember Day, who's been on the council for 8 years now, and Councilmember Dawn Fitzpatrick, who has stepped in, and she's served 2 years, but she's certainly given a lot to the city and a lot of other capacity in what she's served in. So I think that as the current council, we'd like to take a moment and thank each one of them and let them know how much we do appreciate them. I know with Tom, when we first got on the council, I know we had several items that we wanted to accomplish, and I think that with tonight's action, we actually accomplished probably the biggest item that was on our agenda at that time, and that was to deal with the water. And it's taken 8 years. And tonight was a night that this council accepted the agreement with Case Creek, with Case Creek. And, that's quite monumental. That's actually very historical, as Gary and Alex would attest to, to think that we finally was able to bring that to fruition here. On another note, and I'm only going to talk about 2 items on each of them, so don't think I'm going to recap the entire 8 years here. But also Utopia. When we took office, Utopia was kind of fragmented at the time, and it really took some energy and effort, and not only on behalf of the council, but several members. And we were able to bring that to build out within our city. And as Councilmember Morris reported tonight, it's starting to pay off. So, Tom, I think you should be proud of those 2 accomplishments. And Dawn, in a short time, you accomplished a lot. Probably the one that's I'm going to say is most admirable is our change to our landscaping laws, especially with the water situation and the drought. She really kind of helped push that forward so that we accepted not necessarily zeroscape, but really kind of recognized that it's time to kind of change some of those ordinances and make sure that we're in the forefront of conserving water. I know you've been great in helping me with the youth. You've stepped up. You've was able to get our youth council back focused in the right direction, and you've spent a lot of time there with them. And I'm excited. I mean, you've given them good guidance, and these kids are doing a lot of good things in a short amount of time. But I can't help but say I'm probably going to miss all of the your ability to find all the small details that are monumental as far as all of our whether it be a spelling or a grammar or a date correction. I mean, you amaze me on how you can go in and proofread everything. But that tells you how dedicated she is to the city and making sure she does what's right. So I'm actually going to stop talking for a moment and allow the other council members, as well as hopefully anyone else who would wish to express their appreciation to these 2 council members who have served the city well. So with that, council, do you have any comments you want to add?
I'm not going to cry. I save that for other occasions, like my birthday and, big stuff. We haven't really served that long with them, a couple of years, known them for many other years. But in all honesty, I've changed my mind on a couple of things. And working with them did that. I thought different things of them. I thought they thought differently. I didn't agree with maybe some of the things they agreed with. But when I found out why, it was kind of neat to know that they would stand up and say what they felt. And to me, that's the greatest honor in the world, is to say what you feel because you feel it's right. And so it's been a privilege. I know you're not going anywhere except on a tractor. And you may go on a trail. I won't see you on the trail, but I might see you on the tractor. And but I just want you to know it's been a privilege for me, and I've appreciated it more than I thought I would have. So thank you.
Well, I've only served 2 years with these two wonderful public servants, but with Councilman Day, I feel like Councilman Day was my introduction to the city because I got elected and no one knew who I was and I didn't know who anyone else was. And Councilman Day was the first friend I had on the council. He was the first friend I had here, and he talked to me through things. He explained things, how things should be, and we may not have always voted the same way, but I respected his decisions, and it helped me understand his issues a lot more. And I'm a better member of the city council because of being able to sit next to you, Councilman Day. So now, since I moved, I consider you my neighbor, because I can see you out in my backyard. My kids can see out your backyard, out my new backyard, while you were out there on your tractor. So I'm going to force my son to come out and help you and learn some hard work that maybe I should have learned when I was his age. But you're a great public servant, Tom, and I'm going to miss sit next to you, but I know that the city is better for having you served here. So I appreciate all that you've done. And with Councilmember Fitzpatrick, this isn't going to surprise anyone, but the most thorough email I received when I was running for political office was from a citizen named Don Fitzpatrick. And I remember being like, that was an amazing letter. I showed it to my wife. I said, this lady knows what she's doing. Why isn't she running? She knows more about the city than I'm ever going to be able to know. And I answered her back our questions. I don't know if she ever voted for me. That doesn't matter. Because when I was elected, there was an open spot on the city council. And my first vote as a city council member was to appoint a new person to the council to serve with. So not just to vote for someone because I liked them, but I was going to vote for someone that I wanted to work with. And one of the names on the list was that same name, Don Fitzpatrick. So I did my research. I called a bunch of people who had worked with her, and everyone said the same thing. She was thorough. She was dedicated. She was caring. She really cared about the city. And I've found all of that to be the truth. And so I've got to know Don, and I would allow Don, my wife would too, to watch our kids, which we don't say a lot, because my wife says, if Don's watching them, they're going to be taken care of. They're going to be healthy and well. They're going to be healthy when we get them back in the evening. So I was disappointed when both of them decided that they didn't want to seek another term. But I'm excited to see what else they can accomplish. And so I'm pleased to know you and call you as a friend, Don, and I'm certainly going to miss serving with you.
These are tough jobs and a lot of hours, and you have to take this serious. And Tom has done just that, not only in these meetings on this night, but also with the Planning Commission and being in all of those meetings and being the advisor there. He probably knows more about the projects and has known more about the projects than any other. And I appreciate his how he thinks. And again, we probably haven't agreed on a lot of things over this time, but his heart's in it, and it's a good heart. And thank you, Tom. And I echo what Zach mentioned. The city's better for your service. And I wish you well. Similar with Dawn story that my first interview was with Dawn when I decided to run the first time, which was, it took a couple of runs to get here. And she interviewed me for 2 hours right outside here, if you remember. And she loves this city and didn't want these seats to go to someone who didn't know what they were doing and didn't have their heart in the right spot. And I from that moment on, I knew I had a friend. And she's the example of a public servant as well, not only in this spot here for the last couple of years, which I was proud to and happy to vote for her as well, but also on the planning commission. She served as the chair. She served all 9 years there. Even before that, she served in various capacities in the safety area, and she's given her heart to this community as well. And happy to call her my friend, and I'm going to miss her. But her and Roger get to go and do some fun things, and I wish her well. Thanks, Don.
Do you care to comment over there?
Sure. Pardon? No, it won't be scary at all. It's a privilege. Thank you for the mayor for the opportunity to say a couple of words. I would echo largely the comments that have been made by the individual council members, and I think some people may realize, maybe a lot of people don't realize, that I think a lot of the credit for the good things that have happened in the city over the years is because the elected bodies in the city have been politically stable over the years. And even though there's, as has been the case with this council, there's divergent opinions and differences of opinion and a healthy debate about ideas and about priorities and choices, at the end of the day, as has been spoken of, everybody that is here loves the city and wants the very best for the city. And I think that's out of that compromise and out of that conflict sometimes comes good decisions. It's very healthy, and it's always been done with decorum and with appreciation for other people's perspective. And I think that's been a benefit of the city. Maybe an editorial comment, I think today the inclination is, if you're in elected office, for a lot of people, is to be a politician first and a leader, statesperson second. And I think both Tom and Don have been examples of people who think independently and they speak independently, and you understand that their motives are pure. They're doing what they believe is right, even if there's disagreement with other council members on it. They have the courage of their convictions, and to me, that's a very, very important quality that we need a lot more of at local level and state level and national level, is people who will do that. And just a lot of these two, I think especially, have brought a lot of common sense, life experience to the decisions that have been made by the council. So it's been a privilege for staff to work, Tom, with you, and Don with you as well, and to always know that regardless of your perspective and opinion, it was what you generally believed was the very best for this city, and we recognize that and appreciate that and honor that. And you've met the measure of any man or woman. I think at the end of the day is have you left something better than you found it? And I think the answer in this case is a resounding yes to both of you. So thank you, and best to you going forward in your families.
And the attorney gets to speak.
Do I get the last? No. Well, I just wish that these two would have been more vocal in expressing their opinions. They've been such quiet individuals on the council that I really haven't known where they stood at any particular time, just so you know. Just the opposite. I appreciate the fact that they are very, very well spoken and outspoken. And often they have guided and directed policy in the city through some very difficult courses. I knew I had problems a long time ago when my wife and her sister were helping Dawn decorate a table at a wedding. And they had decorated the table, and I remember my wife thought it was a great job, and then Dawn came in and rearranged everything all over again. And I thought, yeah, that's Dawn. she'll come in and she'll rearrange everything all over again, but it always looks better. Always is in a better position. I think one of the main things that I admire about her as I watched her, she went through the general plan process. Mm-hmm. And what a dedicated person to really caring about what Layton looks like, and not just today, but down the road. I think you've invested probably a lot of your life in that, and I'm worried that you lost about 10 years of your life during that process. But anyway, I hope you and Roger have many, many good years together, notwithstanding that. And then Tom, I've always imagined him on the back of a tractor. Every time I see him at a meeting, I think he'd probably rather be on the back of a tractor, especially if the sun hasn't gone down outside, right? But Tom has had a particular place on this council in dealing specifically with issues that are so important to us, and that is the agricultural side of things, helping us to look at that, helping us to look at things like water. And so those are all things that make you leaders. I could list a number of things that I admire. The thing I like most about you is that you always listen to the city attorney, which is probably, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You've seen Don sometimes say, "What are you talking about? That's not right." But yeah. So I'm very, very grateful to the two of you. And, when it all comes down to it, exactly what Alex said is the case with this council. And that is, you may differ a lot on the way that you want to address something, but in the end, you're all marching in the same direction. That's been the reason that this council has been so effective, is because you'll put aside your own personal preferences and you'll march with the council after you've had an opportunity to give your side of the story. So thank you. Thank you all for being one of the best councils I've ever seen. So thank you.
Very well said. Well, I do have some items for you, but would either of you want to take a moment before I presentations? Dawn? Ladies first. That's what Tom's trying to give you the look.
The look. I'm going to miss that look, Tom. Hey, Joy. Need to keep my composure here. My husband keeps asking me if I had regrets for not running. And at times I do, about this much. But sitting here right now with these other individuals, I'm going to regret not being here the first meeting in January with you all. You've become really great friends. I think that we'll always be that council. We've served together, not as long as I think I personally would have hoped, but life takes you in ways that you just need to follow your heart. And the decision not to run was following my heart. But I will say that the 15 years that I've had here at the city have been wonderful. Working with, way back with Jim Mason. I miss Jim. Jim was a wonderful individual, working with emergency preparedness, with the PD, with Chad's group, the 9 years on the Planning Commission. I learned so much. And then the 2 years here, I've learned even more, because land use is only half of what the council does. I thank staff for guiding me and answering my questions. I know Alex thinks I was kind of needy at times, but I always wanted to make sure I knew the answer to the question. I didn't want to come into this meeting ever not being fully clear on what it is that we were looking at. And I just want to say that I want to wish the three of you that are staying the best. You might see me in the audience occasionally. Bettina and Tyson, you're going to do great. But at this point, I want to take a special minute and just thank the mayor for the support and the confidence that she's had in me to give me some assignments that put me kind of out of my comfort zone, way out of my comfort zone. And like tonight after this meeting is way out of my comfort zone. It's cold out there, and we're going to be going out and doing lights. But you never know what she had up her sleeve for us to do. But I may have kind of some days like, I don't really want to do that. But once I went with her, I was grateful that she extended the opportunity for us to be able to get out and meet the citizens. COVID really, that was one of our first responsibilities, was kind of to shut the city down as the new council, and not knowing where budgets for money was coming from. And we've never done a budget. It was a scary thing to go in 2020 with that pandemic hanging over our head. And I'm glad that we've come through it. As been said, I love my city. I've had multiple opportunities to move elsewhere, but I've chosen to stay here and to retire here, to be buried here. I'm not leaving. And I'm just glad that I've had a part in helping direct a little bit of the future of it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thomas.
I might be buried in Kaysville, though.
I'd like to adjourn the meeting.
Just a couple of quick words. I appreciate the comments that have been made. I appreciate working with council, the staff, everybody here that we see on a weekly basis, and not only here in the meetings, but I'd especially like to thank all of the I'll call them the unheralded employees of the city and the volunteers that really are the ones that make this city go around, whether it's the guy out fixing a water line in the middle of the night or the custodians that we frequently visit here at night. To me, they're the people that really make this city go. It's those people that come every day, just do their job, and there's one looking in the window that we always see. But those are the people that I'd really like to
you might
thank
as well
tonight.
join us.
And they're the ones to me that really make the city go around. It's not us, it's them that keep it going. And really like to thank them. I'd like to thank my family. I wasn't expecting them here tonight, but I guess after 8 years, they could show up at least once. So I appreciate them here and the support they've given me. But most of all, I'd like to support those people who voted for me and gave me this opportunity, because without the voters, I wouldn't be here. And it has been a great opportunity. And I have really overall enjoyed the opportunity to serve in the city. And thank you to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. And like Dawn said, you never know what's up my sleeve, but we do have a couple of items that we'd like to, departing gifts that we'd like to share with these two. And
I'm sure there'll be some pictures.
Oh, I already showed the pictures.
No, you'll be wanting to take more.
One of the pictures is of a buffalo.
Oh, no, we do. We need a picture of you with your family up here. So, actually, Alex, I'm going to call you out. Do you want to come give them the little white box we have on the table over here?
Is it some of
He's
that
caught
extra
by
$1 million
surprise, too.
we have? Is it some of the extra $1 million we have?
It was a setup.
Thanks for everything.
Okay, you guys could open it if you'd like. Yeah, it is. It's Christmas tonight. What they are opening is we got them a nice crystal clock that actually has their name on it, the title, and the amount of years of service they've have served on the council, not for the city, but on the council. And so we just want to say thank you. That's on behalf of everyone here at the city. Okay. Trying to think of who I should call on next. How about Zach? There's a couple of frames back here I think we need to share. One of you have got to hold it up so the rest can see what's going on. Okay, as they say, they never know what I get them into, and I appreciate their spontaneousness and willing to take a fun Christmas photo every year. So this is a picture that we took this year for our Christmas card that we give out to the employees. And as pointed out, we needed a decent picture of all of us. So we've actually got a nice council picture there as well. And we've had all the department heads sign the mat that goes in there. But the reason why they are not framed is because you two need to sign each other's photos. So Don, I've got a pen for you. Tom, I've got a pen for you. And you get to sign each other's frames so that you have all the signatures of the council members that you served with. And then we have one more fun item. And I think I'll do that one.
Sure.
Unless...
No, you take all the fun. I don't want to change the meeting.
I want to say that I was also lucky to have a son sign my frame.
Okay, Dawn, you're first up. And you need to come down here. And what I'd like is probably her family to gather right up in here for her. You can come around. Chris. Yeah, if your family, you need to get up there. Okay, so as many of you know, at the city, it's quite an honor to be able to get one of our city signs. And it isn't something that's given out freely. I mean, you definitely have to put in your time and earn one of these signs. And I chose this year to go with the first names. You know, in the past, you usually do last names. But I thought, yeah, Fitzpatrick wouldn't fit on the sign without anything in front of it or behind it. Besides, we don't have an F word for a lane, not that type of word. Nice try. I knew where you were looking at. Usually we go like a lane or a drive or something like that. So with that, Dawn, you have your very own Dawn Drive. So if you could go over by your family and let's get a nice photo of them showing up tonight as commemorating this last night. Okay, thank you. And thank you for being here, showing your support. You guys are great. I know you have always showing your support for Dawn, and I appreciate that. So now, with the rest of the people in the audience, please rise and come up. No. In other words, we got Tom's family here, and I'm going to do the same. You guys need to come up. You need to be in the circle here, because this was probably the one time I get to have all of you here, and I appreciate that, especially Tom's mom and dad. Okay, come on. Don't let Tom be the only leader there. You're lucky I didn't get you on the phone, or she would have been up here. Hey, Bill. Hey, you guys made it. I love it. Good job. No peeky.
How many out there are you?
So this is Tom's family, and I don't know, do you want to introduce them, or should...
Huh? Well, I haven't got a sign yet.
He's going to get in there, believe me. But with Tom, I thought it was... I know that, Tom's quite the outdoorsman, and we've never really identified a sign, I think, like this before, but I thought it was only appropriate that, again, we take the first name and we call it Tom's Trail. So, Tom, get in there with your family and take your picture. Because like I said before, there's like the drive, the parkway, the lane. Oh, come on, get in the middle. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for putting up with me, quite honestly. But and for that, we do have some cookies here that we'd like you all to share in. But before we can adjourn, remember, this is just my unfinished business. So I still need a motion to adjourn our city council meeting for tonight.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Okay. Thanks for being here, you guys. Good job.